It likely comes as no surprise to anyone familiar with Dragon Quest and its history, but Dragon Quest XI's is a very traditional JRPG. Mostly, this is a very good thing, as the game has a timeless feel to it that I think will keep it an enduring classic for years to come. The game is familiar and comfortable while also living up to the highest standards of the genre in various areas. Its limitations are noticeable, but they rarely diminish the overall quality of the rest of the game. I enjoyed my time playing Dragon Quest XI's to the point that I'm looking forward to the possibility of getting into more Dragon Quest games in the series. And I think if you are a JRPG fan, then this game would be a good fit for you as well. Dragon Quest XI's is the newest, as of the recording of this video, entry in the genre-defining classic JRPG series. Dragon Quest XI was developed and published by Square Enix and still stars many series founders and veterans like Yuji Horii and Akira Toriyama in prominent roles. The game came out originally for the 3DS and PS4 in Japan in 2017. It took more than a year for it to come to the West following its initial release, in part because Square Enix decided to do a Windows port to expand the possible audience. Dragon Quest XI came out in September of 2018 for the PS4 and PC in the West. The 3DS version remains Japan exclusive. The game was originally announced to be coming to Nintendo's next generation console, later announced to be the Switch, but instead of just making it a run-of-the-mill port, Square Enix made the Switch port the Definitive Edition, aka Dragon Quest XI's. The Definitive Edition would add in some side story content, allow playing in a classic 2D mode instead of 3D, and include an orchestrated soundtrack which the original lacked. This version was released first for Switch in September of 2019, and then came to PS4, Xbox One, and PC in December of 2020. On every stop in its journey, Dragon Quest XI has garnered great reviews, including a perfect 40 out of 40 from Famitsu, and sales-wise the game has done quite well, including best ever figures for a Dragon Quest game in the West. While the game has received pretty much glowing praise from critics and fans alike, there were still plenty of issues people had with the game, most of which have been addressed, such as the original non-orchestrated soundtrack and the handling of releasing the Definitive Edition to other consoles. It's fair to say though that Dragon Quest XI has been a success. But what is this 11th entry in the series about? You play as the Luminary, a fabled hero that has appeared several times over the course of history during the continent Erdria's darkest hours, and now appears once more. When he was born this time though, the demons attacked the kingdom of Jundersul where he was born and destroyed it. After the disaster, the baby bassinet containing the Luminary has washed up in the village of Cobblestone and is found by an old man named Chalky. It is here alongside your childhood friend Gemma that the Luminary grows up until the coming-of-age ceremony in the village. After completing the ceremony, with the help of some Luminary powers, you are given a letter from your deceased mother explaining that you are the Luminary and to proceed to the kingdom of Heliodor and seek the help of the king there to begin your quest. Unfortunately, there are some in Erdria who do not believe the Luminary is a beacon against the darkness, but instead the herald of it, also known as the Darkspawn. Your journey will take you all across the continent, encountering many wonderful places and recruiting a band of devoted and eager companions. Together, you will have to follow in the footsteps of the legendary hero Erdwin and try to beat back the dark forces at play on the continent. The word traditional is going to show up a lot in this video, but it is accurate. The story is pretty traditional with very familiar story beats, but they're all executed really well, which helped keep me engaged throughout the story of this pretty long game. The world and characters are generally well written. It took a little time for the cast of the party to grow on me, but by the end I found them wonderful. Dragon Quest XI has one of the most consistently well written JRPG casts that I've seen, and that's saying something. The best part that is exclusive to 11S that shows this are the characters' side stories that come up towards the middle of the game. These moments gave a lot of insight into the characters and their priorities, and it was nice for them to take the spotlight instead of our silent main character. As for the NPCs' writing, the localization team went hard in making them distinct and memorable, at least for the important ones. We're not talking Falcom level NPC writing here. They also made some choices that added to the character of the world, even if it made localizing the game much tougher, such as the haiku-speaking Hoto. The game also tends to give hints and clues to item locations, story events, or how to solve certain side quests in the NPC dialogue, so it's worth your time to explore around and talk to everyone. The game's story and writing didn't disappoint. Combat-wise, Dragon Quest hasn't changed much over the course of its history. One might even say, it is traditional. Battles are turn-based with up to 4 of your party members fighting at one time against a slew of enemies. Each new party member starts off with the AI controlling them, but you can switch them to your control, which I did as soon as possible, so you can be completely responsible for your successes or failures. For moves in battle, you have the regular attack, skills and magic that take MP to use, items, and defending. In addition to all this, your characters can occasionally get pepped up, a boosted state that improves various stats for your party members and enables them to utilize pep powers. Pep powers are special abilities done with other party members that can be extremely powerful and turn a battle around some of the time. The progression system for getting more abilities and skills is fairly simple. You use points earned from leveling up to unlock skills in a grid. Unlocking skills can unlock ones around those, and there are different branches to take focusing on particular weapons or types. You can even pay some gold to reset some or all of the points if you need to adjust for an upcoming battle or want to take things in a different direction. The flexibility of the system makes it more enjoyable, and I felt that it balanced the points well, so sometimes you might go for the really powerful abilities or take your points and get a lot of helpful stat boosts. The system was helpful for allowing you to do a personalized build that fit your playstyle even if you can't change a character's overall inclination to certain battle roles. As for the enemies, most standard enemies are easily dealt with and are just there for battle experience and admiring their silly, quirky, or weird designs. They do evolve over the course of the story though, so enemies you previously blew right through will offer a fresh challenge later on in the game. The real challenge and strategy of the game though comes with the bosses, and kudos to the developers in creating some tough but ultimately satisfying boss battles. This was done with a balance of different abilities and especially status effects. There are a lot of unique status effects that you will need to contend with in these battles, although some of those can get really frustrating, so okay. Mostly satisfying boss battles. More so than in other turn-based JRPGs I've played, I felt I had to utilize many of the tools at my disposal, abilities and magic of course, but even specific buffs and debuffs or heals, because you best believe the bosses will be doing it whether you do or not. The boss battles were truly the highlight of the combat system for me, and that's appropriate given their importance. My critiques for the battle and progression system are few, but the major one that I came across was grinding. It is a reality in a lot of RPGs that grinding becomes necessary, but every time I had to go out and grind, I would think wistfully to Trails' weighted XP system and thought Dragon Quest really could benefit from it. There are ways to quickly grind in Dragon Quest XI, but I would have just preferred having the game balanced against grinding. It wasn't a deal breaker for me, but it did bring down my enjoyment of the game overall somewhat. I don't really know what category to put this in because it's both somewhat side content and progression, but I have a lot of praise to heap onto the forging minigame. Crafting in most games is instantaneous or overly complicated when it's not immediate, but Dragon Quest XI has the perfect balance of a fun and engaging system that is not overly complicated. You collect materials from battles or exploring, get recipes for pieces of equipment, and then set yourself at your forge. You have a certain number of focus points to use abilities and strike while the iron is hot to construct the item. Do it well enough, and you can manage a +3 perfect weapon that is well worth the effort. There's some luck, some strategy, and a lot more fun than expected. And also, if you don't have all the materials for a recipe, you can purchase what you need from that same screen, so it's very convenient. Most items are also available in shops, so if the mode doesn't work for you, you don't lose out, but for me, it worked great. As for other side content, the game has many side quests with a decent amount of variety between what tasks you'll be asked to complete. You can also collect mini medals to gain prizes, gamble at a casino, and one of the bigger additions for 11S, Tickington. Tickington is inhabited by Tockles. As you go around, you'll encounter some of them that give you passwords you can use to travel back in time to classic moments from previous Dragon Quest games. There are side quests to complete here as well, and I'm sure it's a nice nostalgia piece to the game for those who have actually played Dragon Quest games prior to this one, which I have not. In addition, if the 2D form of Tickington appeals to you, you can turn the regular Dragon Quest XI adventure into 2D mode as another 11S edition. While the game is not focused all that much on exploration, it is a good idea to take a look around each area anyways for treasure chests with useful items or books with lore, forging recipes, or other details. The main story is already lengthy, but with all of the side content as well, you can stretch your playtime out to over 100 hours to complete everything. All of it adds value to the game, but thankfully none of it is of utmost necessity, so you can do as much or as little of it as you want. Dragon Quest XI's on the presentation side of things is for the most part quite good. The visuals environmentally are amazing, the character designs and enemy designs look good while retaining a classic feel, and the animation is lively. The out-of-game engine cutscenes do look a little strange at times, but those are infrequent. Also, the models aren't as sharp as they were in the original Dragon Quest XI because Dragon Quest XI's goes off of the Switch version even for the ports to other consoles. Of course, if you're on PC, there's already a mod to replace them with the higher quality originals if you want. With that said, the colors, architecture, and visual flair of the game makes this a stylish and enjoyable to look at game. As for music, Koichi Sugiyama was a terrible person. He undoubtedly has had a long career with great pieces of music and influence on the industry, but I think even fans of his work can acknowledge Dragon Quest XI was not his best work. Here's my issue, purely from the music side of things. For a JRPG as long as Dragon Quest XI, the low number of tracks and the frequent overuse of what tracks there are simply doesn't fit the epicness of this adventure. Almost any other JRPG would have separate town themes for each of the locations the heroes visit, but it's always the same, and that really took away from the journey for me. There are still good tracks here, and the returning tracks from previous Dragon Quest games helps to add some variety to the soundtrack. Overall though, the soundtrack is a major disappointment, even in the orchestrated version. And I hope that whoever takes over for Sugiyama moving forward can help revitalize Dragon Quest's music, and also is a better person. The voice acting is another solid area on the English side of things, with excellent performances from several of the actors. Special shout out to Shay Matheson for his work on Sylvando. The UI and UX was legible and mostly understandable, but there were still areas I would have liked improved, especially for the Definitive Edition. In general, as someone who played on the PC version, it is clear this game is a console port. No alternate button prompts, convoluted way to exit the game completely and not just go to the main menu, and no button remapping. This isn't too surprising for the first Dragon Quest game on PC in a while. I just hope if they plan to release future games on PC, they take lessons from this one and include these features. I am quite pleased with the experience that Dragon Quest XI's gave me as my first ever Dragon Quest game. The characters were enchanting, the story a nice traditional one that still had a lot of charm to it, a colorful art style that really fit the world, and one of the better turn-based battle systems I've played in recent games. There were certainly areas that detract from the whole and prevent me from calling it a masterpiece or anything on that scale, but if you are a JRPG fan, this is a worthwhile game to give a try to see how the masters of the genre do it after decades of work. I hope to play more Dragon Quest games in the future, although if Square Enix does go down the road of NFTs, that may be in doubt, but for now I'm glad I got a chance to play this game. Thank you to all of you who voted for it in the poll on what game I should play next. With that success, I do hope to run another poll like it in the future at some point. In the meantime though, if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like to save it from the vicious monsters of the YouTube algorithm, and comment below your thoughts on the video, Dragon Quest, or anything else. Subscribe to keep up with the channel, and I hope to see you all in the next video. Have a great day, and happy gaming!